Boy, do I have a really fun video for you right now, because I have not one but two brand new 2025 Honda Civics here. The Honda Civic has been on sale for over 51 years. This is the 11th generation. It's one of the most popular cars in the entire country. And here I have two flavors that I really want to show you. They're both updated. I have here the hatchback hybrid in blue, and in red I have the new 2025 Honda Civic Si. They both make the same identical power, 200 horsepower piece, but they're quite different, and their price is close to each other. Just about $1,500 separates the two. So in this video, Zach, who is behind the camera, and I,
Hello.
we're gonna walk around these two cars. We're gonna show you all the features, and I think, well, we'll pick our favorites, but I think the choice is gonna be very difficult. Huh, Zach?
It is really difficult, yeah, because we're talking, like you said, about two cars here with identical horsepower figures, and that wasn't the case for the pre-facelift, pre-2025 11th generation Honda Civic.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with the hybrid and talk about the powertrain, because that's kind of the big deal with this one and what it replaces.
It is a big deal. Well, let's take a look at it in profile just really quick. It is a hatch, and I used to own a VW Golf, so I love hatches. So this car is already kind of drawing me in. And I think the Honda Civic is so popular, you probably currently own one. Maybe you used to own one, or maybe your family member used to own one. So, I mean, they sold 12.8 million of these over the last 50 plus years. But this is new. And I'm really glad that Honda is doing this, because they used to have a hybrid in some previous generations, but now it's back in a very big way with the latest technology and super good efficiency. So some of the numbers are 200 horsepower, like we said, 232 pound-feet of torque, which is quite a lot of torque. And this torque is really kind of immediate because it is an electric gasoline hybrid, and 50 mpg, Zach, in the city.
Yeah, and ostensibly this is the same 2-liter Atkinson cycle engine, made it to an electric motor. The 2-motor hybrid setup that's in the Accord and the CR-V. It's packaged a little bit differently here. So due to the change in packaging and the slightly smaller, lighter components, it's a little bit less powerful than in those two applications. I also did want to point out, although we don't have it here today, that this base 2-liter engine, dial out the high voltage electrical gear for the electric motor. The 2-liter Atkinson cycle engine on its own does still exist. It's still in the base sport model.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it produces 150 horsepower and 133 pound-feet of torque, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, and it's a little bit more efficient for 2025.
Yeah, it's 1 to 2 mpg more efficient than it was for the pre-facelift model years, and then beyond that, you jump up to the sport hybrid or the sport touring hybrid, which we have here, which provides an immense boost to efficiency and as well as performance.
Yeah, so really, I mean, hybrids. Look, Zach, we have a dipstick. I mean, hybrids are really
dipstick at that.
Hybrids are really good at city driving, right? That's why the 50 mpg is the city number, right? On the highway, of course, the number comes down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's very typical for a hybrid system, and I'm really happy they're bringing it back in this way to the Civic lineup. There's also the sedan hybrid that you could consider purchasing. Let's take a look in the back, Zach, because this is a hatchback.
Yeah, before we get to that real quick, though, one thing I wanted to point out here for the 25, and we can get a better visualization of this if we stick at the front.
Okay.
So for 2025, the main changes, it's not a huge departure from the pre-facelift model. So if we're talking 2022 and newer, the main changes here is you're going to see color-matched accents just below the headlights here. And then same story for below the lower valence. Yeah. And that changes depending on which model you get as well. So these body colored elements are on the sport hybrid and the sport touring hybrid, the hybrid models. On the base sport, they're just black material. It's just kind of like molded in color, kind of black. And then when we come over to the SI, you
same,
get
same
the
bumper shape.
Yeah,
Same
same basic shape.
Yes.
And then you get gloss black elements below the headlights here, and then same
Love.
for the lower valence as well. You get gloss black just as a little bit of a sportier look. This is a sportier intention car.
Well, let's look at the engine, right? Since we're up here.
Sure, we can stick and take a look at the SI's engine. So in the hybrid, the 2-liter 2-motor system replaces the 1.5-liter turbo. So the only place it still exists in the Honda Civic lineup is right here with the SI.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can see it right here. Also a dipstick.
Yeah.
All of the components are easy to reach. You know, the battery is up here. By the way, the SI, and Honda was very specific about this, it's a lighter car in general, right?
About 300 pounds lighter
Yes.
than the hybrid, yeah.
So if you are selecting a vehicle for yourself, this will be a little bit more fun to drive.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's lighter. Also manual transmission, right, Zach?
Yeah, which when we get to the interiors, and for the sake of noise, we might do that here in a minute, just that's the main reason, one of the main reasons why you would want to consider something like the SI over the hybrid. Although the hybrid, for sake of getting the 2-motor system, is much more efficient.
Yes. So
Than
this is about
previous years.
37 mpg on the highway and 31 combined.
Which still
versus-
isn't bad for what is ostensibly a performance car.
Yeah. I mean, but this is 50 in the city and what, 45-ish?
48, yeah.
48
so it's
combined?
50 city, 45 combined, and then you split the two and round up 45 city and then 48 combined.
Yeah, exactly. So this car has the same horsepower, 200 horsepower, but 195 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
And the only way you can get an SI is a manual transmission. So,
But to get back to what you were saying with the hybrid, now we can move back and take a look at the hatch.
yeah. So in profile, they're very similar to each other. But Zach, if you come over on this side, you can kind of see this cut line in the roof. And this is basically where the hatch begins. And you have this telltale sign. There is a wiper on the back. And the tail lamps look a slightly bit different. And back here, there's kind of this plastic diffuser looking piece of bumper.
So again, because we're talking about the hybrid model, and you'll see when we go over there to the SI, there's no exhaust port here. I mean,
No
you get
visible
kind of
exhaust.
like a
Yeah, it's-
facsimile of one. It's down below,
It's down
right
here.
there.
Yeah.
So that it's hidden just because of the hybrid powertrain.
But yeah, that's how you can identify it because they look kind of similar in profile. But that cut line, the windshield wiper, and of course this opens up a huge space. And this is what I'm a fan of. This is already about 24.5 cubic feet, which is pretty spacious already. Then you can do this. You could pop this. You can pop this. And this becomes a humongous space, really. And we have some of our gear bags. You can kind of see these are basically regular sized backpacks. You can put a lot of things in here or even long items in this compartment. So it's pretty fun. You can close this up just a little bit out of sight. And this is manual, so there's not like a button you push, but I love this. It's very simple, right, Zach?
Yeah. And the main way you're going to tell between the different variations of the Civic hatchback, because outwardly, I mean, apart from the hidden exhaust, you couldn't really tell it's a hybrid unless you see the badging right here, and then the Sport Touring model as well. The only one that is not hybrid in the hatchback lineup is the base Sport. So if you see the Sport in the hybrid, or the Sport Touring, and then obviously the hybrid, you'll know which powertrain you're dealing with here.
And for 25, you have new wheel design as well.
Yep.
And this is a Goodyear Assurance tire. This is an 18-inch wheel. I think it's very attractive and very cool, very Honda. Before we go inside, let's look at this, the trunk area here of the SI. First of all, you have this blacked out spoiler. And then let's take a look in here. This is about 14 cubic feet of total space. By the way, neither one of them have a spare tire. They have inflator kits. Yeah. And a little bit cubbies for storing some of these items. But you could also pop these little latches and you could pop the seats down.
Yeah, so I'll pull the one down on this side.
And I'll pull this one
The
down.
seat belts weren't in the way. Sorry about that.
You
Try
can
it again.
pull this down.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is still, I think, a very usable, very practical car, be it a little performance car. I love this as well. So now, I think we gotta go inside.
Yep.
So how about we start here?
And one thing to point out with the hybrid as well, just like the sedan, when we tested that a few months ago, Tommy and I went on the drive for that in Canada. On the hybrid models, you have the option of getting a lighter interior, as indeed we have here. So it's nice. It makes it feel a little lighter, a little bit airier than just having black on black on black like some cars and trims do.
Yeah, exactly. And I really appreciate that. I haven't been in a Civic in just a little bit of time, but I love this dash design. I mean, it hasn't changed a lot, right? But I love this kind of mesh. You have your HVAC, directional controls. You have your solid, physical controls for your climate system. They feel really good. This may not be like the most affordable, cheapest compact sedan or hatch you could find, but I think, there's some quality in here. I can feel like, for example, this Sport Touring has this really nice steering wheel. It feels really good. Now, digital screens. We have Google built in.
So that is one other major change. I'll just kind of try to get in here for 2025. Is you have a 9-inch screen and the Google built in, so you'll have features like Google Maps, Google Assistant. Closer to hand, you can still use Apple CarPlay if you want, but if you don't even want to have to connect your phone, you get Amazon Alexa connectivity as well, access to the Play Store for additional apps. So if you don't want to, plug in your phone and actually project Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you can just keep everything in the native system without even really having to bother with it.
Yeah, and this is a plug-in. It's not a plug-in hybrid, right? So
just a conventional hybrid.
Yeah, it's a conventional hybrid, so you don't have to worry about charging it anywhere. The engine does all the work. And the transmission, they call it a dual motor hybrid system. Some people, it's kind of hard to explain. Some people call it kind of a CVT type deal, but Honda just calls it a dual motor powertrain.
Yeah, it's not your conventional CVT. Now, again, the base sport model does
still have a conventional
get
CVT.
that here as well. Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to point out in the hybrid, if you go through the drive mode switch, so you have your Econ, your normal, both in the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen. Yeah, we'll start down at Econ, and you go up through normal, sport. But then you get up to individual, so you can actually customize what you want out of the powertrain, right? So you can go
steering feel.
Yeah, steering feel, powertrain. This is augmented sound, and then your gauge layout.
Yeah, or kind of the color scheme, right?
Right. So it basically goes red when you put it into sport.
And over here, I have my battery status, and also my fuel status on the right. And the gauges are very clear, and it's very, very, very simple. I also have shifter paddles, but they're not for the transmission.
Yeah, so that is for the regen. You have 4 different levels that you cycle through with those paddles.
Yes.
So each time you pull down on it, rather than actually downshifting like you would in a car with a conventional transmission, it just dials up the regen to hold you back further and further. Until you get into the most aggressive setting. Again, similar to what's on the CR-V and the Accord, you just have 4 settings here instead of 6.
Mm-hmm. And also, I love the avatar. Zach, can you come in closer?
Yeah.
So the avatar, the little tiny car here, when I turn my headlamps, the car's headlamps come on. If I turn my blinkers on, the little blinkers come on, and of course the brakes come on as well. Also, Honda sensing, driver assistance technologies are here. They've been improved. So they've been working on the software improvements. So you have lane keep and also adaptive cruise control capabilities.
Those have been improved for 2025.
Yeah, that's what they told us. So, and of course, you have some controls here in the steering wheel. You can control your cruise control system here, volume, and also audio, voice control function right here. And down here, Zach, I have my traction control off. So if I want to have some fun, I can still have some fun in this car.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. It's not the worst example I've seen, but you can tell in performance cars or like sportily oriented cars, the traction control button's typically somewhere within easy reach. And when you're just in a normal car, I mean, again, you're not going to be using it all that much, so it makes sense. You put it in a position again, like back down there, you kind of obscure it away from the driver. And it's a fair. I'm not saying worst in that, it's a horrible thing that it happens. It's just interesting, I think, that it kind of obscures away from the driver if you're not going to be thinking about it all that much. So if you actually do want to find it, sometimes you have to go exploring a little bit.
And you have heated seats.
Yeah.
So that's very easy and simple to find. And you can kind of control some of the climate control system by voice. I want to sit in the back just for a second. And I also want to show you the SI. And talk about pricing, right, Zach?
Yeah.
All right, so let's
fold the seats back up here.
I like this light interior, Zach. I love it. I love this quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just about 6'3". I'm sitting behind myself. I have a tiny bit of knee room. My hair is touching a little bit, but I'm kind of a giant dude. So I have my armrest. Everything feels soft. I kind of like this.
I do also want to mention, it's good that you have your laptop here so you can point it out. On the passenger side, at least you get a door pocket for a little bit of extra storage too. Yeah, you don't if you're sitting behind the driver, because the idea is if you're sitting back there, you want a little bit more knee room, and this would rob that a little bit. So if you have one passenger and they're sitting behind the driver, makes sense.
But Zach, there's no vents here. What's up with that?
That is unfortunate on a car that costs more than $30,000 and is the top-end trim.
No USB-Cs or USBs.
Yeah, so the only USB-Cs that you get are up there at the front. Yeah. You get two, and then you get wireless smartphone charging, of course.
And 12 volt up there as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this car could have a tiny bit more features. Let's finish the pricing outside.
Why don't we take a look in the SI as well, because that gets a few nice little elements that are certainly different.
And then we have to decide which car would you prefer, Zach?
Yeah,
we got to decide that. All right, let's jump in. All right, whoa, Zach, the seats feel totally different. Manual operation, and they're supportive. They're the buckets are very nice.
Yeah, red and black accented interior. Fundamentally, these seats haven't changed much from the 2022 and 2023, 2024 models, the pre-facelift 11th gen models. Mm-hmm. But the one difference here, and you have to actually turn the car on to demonstrate it.
There, the engine is live.
You did not get heated seats before.
But now you do.
Yeah, and Honda says that is a major customer consideration, and depending where you live, that is a big deal. I like having it where we live in Colorado, for instance.
Yeah, that's for sure. But dude, I really love a lot of the kind of the red accents around the dash.
So same basic honeycomb mesh pattern, and same kind of gauge layout, same infotainment screen, Google built in, and then because this is a manual only model, you get the 6-speed shifter right there. Yeah.
And you know what? It's still kind of this Honda feeling. Very kind of short throw. So I can really appreciate it. You also have drive modes. By the way, we have also some sound augmentation, like we talked about, right?
Yeah.
The hybrid has sound cancellation too, to make it even quieter inside when driving. And this doesn't have that, but it has a little bit sound augmentation. So when you go in the sport mode, you can kind of also customize it in individual mode.
Yeah,
you can go into sport.
Similar kind of vein to the hatchback. Obviously, your sound profile is going to be different here because you have a smaller, kind of buzzier 1.5 liter.
No, but it sounds good, and it's got those dual exhaust pipes in the back that we can show you as well.
Yeah, I'll grab that when we come back around to do the close. One other thing I wanted to point out as well. On Entree's side here in the gauge cluster, unfortunately we're not going to be able to demonstrate it much because we're static for the moment, but these shift lights right here, so you get the digital screen like you could in the Civic before, and then you get
shift lights. You could see it right now. Yes.
Yeah, like the Type R.
Yeah, so it basically warns you before the red line comes, right? So
Right.
there's some yellows and some reds.
Yeah, and then if you hit above the red line and you don't shift, there's a fuel cutout, so it'll warn you about that as well to keep you from grenading the engine, basically.
This one doesn't have a wireless charger here.
It does not.
Yeah.
So the SI, you can't really spec it up beyond what you see here.
There's
and
only one option.
Right, and it comes fairly
color
well
choice?
equipped for the money, apart from the lack of wireless smartphone charging. But the only option you can get is summer tires, which this car does have, for $300 above the base price. Before we hop out, one thing I want to mention. So the Civic Si has a rev matching system. It did before.
Mm-hmm.
The key difference here for 2025 is it will, if you could push the clutch in for me, it will actually rev match when you downshift from second into first. So
Slow speed maneuvers.
slow speed maneuvers. The rev matching is a little bit easier. I was thinking that's a move that's basically purpose built for autocross.
Yeah.
So in a situation where you're driving in a spirited way and you need to go down from second to first a lot, that makes a lot of sense. Also, just when you're coming up to a stop, it's kind of nice to have the engine rev. So if you're rolling to a stop and you need to get started again, you don't have to have that jolt to the clutch coming back in, that kind of thing.
I also love, the doors have some red, once again, accent stitching, inserts. So it's kind of a different feeling in here. Mm-hmm. There's kind of a little bit more, I would say, premium, kind of a nice interior over there, and very sporty and comfortable interior in here. Yeah. Well, let me shut this down. Oh, do you want me to rev it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let's
okay, hold on a second.
Go ahead and do that. I'll close that, and you go ahead and rev it up. I'll get back here. Again, I can show off the dual pipes. So there you have it. Not only do you actually get real exhaust pipes, dual pipes on the 1.5, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good. All right, dude. So we got to talk about pricing, and then we have to decide which car would you guys buy, which one would I buy, or Zach would buy. So the hatchback hybrid starts at $27,450. This is before destination. Destination is $1,095, so about $1,100 for destination. So this is what, 32-ish, 32.5 before destination?
At the top end.
Yeah, so this is a sport touring. So the car you see right here, with everything you see here, even, of course the sunroof is there as well. This is about 33.5-ish after destination. Now the Civic, they say it's still one of the most foreign cars under 30 grand.
Yeah, the SI specifically.
Yes, the SI, but with destination it's just over 30 grand, right? Because this is 29,950 before destination.
Yeah, and it's 31, do the math off the top of my head, $31,045
with destination.
Right.
So still quite affordable. And both of them, within 30 grand, basically, right?
Yeah.
With slightly different options. So I'm going to go first, Zach.
Sure.
I choose this one because, well, I have 2 kids, right? I have a lot of stuff that I'm carrying often. And I used to have a hatchback, and I still love this. And so I'm going to pick this. Also, in the city, so if you drive a lot of traffic areas, 50 mpg, you can't really beat it.
Yeah.
What about you?
So it's a good thing that you chose the hatchback hybrid, because I'm going to completely disagree with you, and I am going to go with the SI.
Okay.
And there are a couple reasons why. First, I'm single.
Okay.
So I don't have to worry about hauling around kids or things of that nature. Yeah. And I like the fact that you can get it from the factory with summer performance tires. I just wanted to point that out. So
and
you
these
get
wheels
Goodyear
too.
Eagle F1 tires here. These are $300 above and beyond the base price. So $31,345 if you get it with these tire specs. And then you obviously get the
yeah, dude, but that's $300 for 4 tires. So it's an upgrade, obviously, over the base tire, but I mean, that's an affordable price.
Yeah, it's not that bad
tire.
to get the upgraded tires, and then obviously come back in here. One reason, and one reason alone, I would pick it, and it's right here.
So you cannot have a hybrid manual, right?
Not anymore.
Right.
You cannot have a Civic hatchback with the manual anymore because you don't get the 1.5 turbo in that anymore.
Right.
All you're getting is automatic from here on out, be it if you get the base Sport, again, has a conventional CVT,
Right.
naturally aspirated 2-liter engine, and then you get the 2-motor hybrid system if you step up to the Sport hybrid or the Sport Touring hybrid. So, and the SI is a little bit, again, apples to apples, if you were to cross-shop these two at least. This one is a little bit more affordable. It is only sedan, so you can't get it as a hatchback.
Option.
The only
Right.
step from there, if you want performance and you want the hatchback, you have to get the Type R.
And we don't know much about the upcoming Type R. We don't know anything yet, right?
So as far as we know, going on the basis of what we're seeing here and what we saw with the sedan a couple months ago, it's going to be light to moderate refresh. It's not going to look dramatically different than the current 11th gen Type R is. Probably isn't going to have that much more power. It's 315 with the 2-liter K20 C1 engine. So in its current configuration, that's what it is. We expect it to stay more or less the same. But it'll get some of the tech upgrades, like the Google built-in infotainment system, probably a little bit of a price hike, things of that nature. But for now, this is where we're at.
And if you're worried about safety as we wrap up, the sedan for 2025 got IHS Top Safety Pick Plus. They have some rigidity improvements, right? And all the latest technology for Honda sensing tech. The hatchback hasn't finished the testing yet, right? So we'll have to wait and see.
So for now, if you were to look at IHS, the 2024 Civic Hatchback Hybrid gets a Top Safety Pick Plus, and there's updated side impact test, which Honda's updated both the sedan and the hatchback with more reinforcements on the sides of the car, specifically kind of like around the B pillar. So more reinforcement kind of right here, and then right behind the seat pillar in the rear seats too. So if you were to actually come into the side like that, it'll perform better. It has gotten a good rating in the updated side impact test. As far as I can tell, the 2025 Civic Hatchback hasn't undergone the updated moderate frontal crash test. So we'll see what the updated rating is when we do get those results.
And they're both really safe cars.
Yeah.
I mean, so they were pretty safe and they're improving their safety. So I don't think that's a concern at all. So let us know what you think. Which one would you pick? Would you go for the new hybrid tech that we have here? Would you stay maybe with the SI and a car like this with a manual? If you do know how to drive a manual, Zach, it would be probably harder to steal.
Yeah.
Because not many people
age.
know.
Yeah.
So let us know what you guys think, and we'll see you next time at otfl.com because there's a lot of news coming on all kinds of cars and trucks as well.
Thanks, guys.